In this Starship update, Ship 20 completes its first static fire, the wide bay rises from the ground, and the beloved Frankencrane departs Boca Chica. Hi everybody, I'm Matt Anderson with NASA Spaceflight, here to give you an overview of SpaceX's Boca Chica facilities as of early November 2021. All of the following photos and videos were captured by NASA Spaceflight team members Mary and Nick and Sweeney, as well as our team of robotic cameras. Ship 20 has finally roared to life. SpaceX successfully completed the vehicle's first static fire on October 22nd, marking another major milestone in the ship's testing campaign. For this static fire test, only 2 Raptor engines were installed. This included one sea-level Raptor and, for the first time, a vacuum Raptor. SpaceX fired both engines individually, starting with the vacuum Raptor. This marked the first time a Starship performed a test firing with this variant of Raptor. The test appeared to be a success as SpaceX tweeted a video from Starhopper's cameras of the firing. Following the vacuum engine test, both of Ship 20's Raptor engines ignited for a combined firing. This also appeared to be a success, and Ship 20 was drained of its propellants. About 7 heat shield tiles were knocked off of Ship 20 during these engine tests. This is not too unusual, as tiles have been seen falling off of previous Starships as well. These tiles will likely be replaced soon, and improvements made to prevent this kind of thing from happening again. Following the initial static fires, the remaining 4 Raptor engines were installed. Now with a complete set of engines, Ship 20 is expected to perform another 1 or 2 test firings. These firings would either be separate tests of the 3 sea-level and 3 vacuum Raptors, or a single test of all 6 together. Depending on ship and engine readiness, the next static fire may take place as soon as this week. Ship 20 is currently expected to fly on the maiden orbital launch of Starship along with Booster 4 early next year. Booster 4 resides at the launch site, waiting for the orbital launch pad to be completed. Crews have been doing work on the vehicle over the past few weeks, notably replacing Raptor engines and installing aerodynamic covers. Once the orbital launch site is ready, Booster 4 will be installed onto the pad and begin its own test campaign. This is expected to consist of cryogenic proofing tests and 1 or more static fires. Speaking of the orbital launch site, it seems that most major hardware is in place for the new launch pad. The final cryo tank shell was installed on October 19th and will insulate one of the large propellant tanks at the site. Perlite, a volcanic glass, will be poured into the shells to better insulate the tanks underneath. 2 large horizontal methane tanks have been installed adjacent to the vertical Starship-derived tanks. It's unknown why this extra capacity is needed and why SpaceX didn't build extra vertical tanks instead. The chopstick catching arms are finishing up their installation and have rotated for the first time. These 2 arms will catch Super Heavy boosters mid-air when they return following a launch. In addition, they will also stack boosters and ships onto the orbital launch mount. Also at the launch site, we said goodbye to an old friend. Frankencrane, the massive Liebherr LR-11350 crane used to assemble the launch tower and other structures at the pad, has been disassembled and shipped out of the site. Frankencrane is being replaced at Boca Chica by a new crane, one that SpaceX themselves have purchased. Decked out in black and white styling, parts of the new SpaceX LR-11000 began arriving at the site on October 29th. This crane is actually a twin of the existing large yellow LR-11000 that was until recently at the Boca Chica launch site. Assembly of the crane began immediately once parts arrived on site. On November 5th, the new SpaceX-branded crane rose from the launch site for the first time. This piece of equipment will be used to support construction around the site in the future. It is not strong enough to stack vehicles under the orbital launch mount, but that's a job for the chopsticks anyway. The yellow LR-11000 crane departed the launch site on November 6th after the boom was lowered earlier the same day. At the production site, work on Ship 21 and Booster 5 is progressing quickly. The nose cone and nose cone barrel section of Ship 21 have received most of their heat shield tiles, and they're already looking better than those on Ship 20. Also, the main tank section of Ship 21 is currently being stacked in the mid-bay. It looks to only be about 3 sections tall as of recording, but that is increasing. On November 5th, the engine section was moved to the mid-bay for stacking. Just next door in the high bay, Booster 5 assembly continues. Similar to Ship 21, progress has been relatively slow, likely because there's no rush to complete assembly due to Ship 20 and Booster 4 testing. It also seems that crews are doing more internal work on both vehicles before their final assembly, which is opposite of what was done on Booster 4 and Ship 20. The high bay has also had some permanent stairs installed inside, as work on the building is nearing completion. Booster 5 and Ship 21 are expected to fly together on the second orbital flight of Starship. Booster 5 may even be the first to attempt a catch by the chopsticks. Also, parts for Booster 6 and Ship 22 have been sighted. The aft dome for Booster 6 was placed on the sleeving stand, ready to be integrated into a barrel section. Ship 22's mid-lock section, which will be the middle of its liquid oxygen tank, was sighted with thermal blankets already applied. This layer of padding goes under the black heat shield tiles as an extra layer of thermal protection. And finally, the nose cone barrel for Ship 22 was spotted. However, this one is quite different for a few reasons. First off, this section is now 5 rings high instead of 4. Starships in the past, like SN8 and SN9, had 5-ring barrel sections, but the ones on later vehicles were shortened to 4. It's unknown why this change has taken place. Also, the barrel section is made of 3.6mm steel compared to the 3.96mm steel used on all previous Starships. This thinner steel will lead to a notable reduction in mass of the vehicle, leading to better payload capacity. V2.1, a mysterious test tank, was moved to the thrust simulator stand on October 28th. V2.1 is strange because it features a Starship engine mount but a booster aft dome sleeve and forward dome section. It's not clear what the purpose of this test article is, but it will be interesting to see what happens to it over the next few weeks. Crews are working at breakneck pace for the construction of the wide bay. This new structure will, as the name suggests, be much wider than the existing high bay and slightly taller. The first level of the new building is coming along quickly, and the second level should be started soon. This new building will be used for additional production space for Starship and Super Heavy. The added width will enable SpaceX to assemble and store multiple vehicles inside the building at one time. With a pace this quick, it will be exciting to see how soon the building will be ready to support production. Over the past few weeks, several Raptor engines were shipped into and out of the facility. Some had fun names and decals, like 2 delivered on November 6th. They were later confirmed to be Raptors Centers 78 and 79. The Starship Human Landing System nose cone mock-up was scrapped on October 23rd. This mock-up was made of a real nose cone and barrel section, as was intended to be used as a mock-up of the interior of the lunar Starship variant. It doesn't seem that it was ever outfitted with any test equipment, so the scrapping was not a major surprise. Speaking of the HLS, Blue Origin's legal complaint on the selection of the HLS contract was dismissed this week. The HLS is the area of NASA's Artemis program that will work with a private company to develop a crewed lunar lander. 3 companies, SpaceX, Blue Origin, and Dynetics, bid to have their lander chosen. Due to extreme budgetary constraints, NASA was forced to pick only one provider, and they chose SpaceX. Blue Origin made several legal complaints about only one lander being chosen. Because of the legal system, work on the entire HLS program has to stop during this time, and NASA teams couldn't work with Starship teams. Now that the case has been dismissed, work on HLS and Lunar Starship should resume in the near future. And that's it for this video. If you liked it, feel free to subscribe for future updates. And if you'd like to support the channel, consider becoming a channel member, with several cool perks available. And if you need a new shirt to wear on your human torso this winter, visit the NASA Spaceflight merchandise store for all your nerdy apparel needs. Thanks for watching, and have a great week.